Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Keiser Voices. We are continuing our conversation on AI, but we're taking a look more at how we can create with AI, how technology can help boost that creativity, and the applications that you should know about. And we're excited for our guest. He's currently on tour here with us at Keiser, so to speak, because he is definitely making his rounds to help educate his peers, his classmates, future students, new students, on the importance of AI. So we're super excited to have Juan Carlos Chávez join us today. Thank you so much, sir, for hopping on with us.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for inviting me.
So right before we got on, you and I were kind of talking about AI is so relevant. And, I did make the statement, it may or may not be cut out of the pre-recording, but we're kind of past due on this conversation on AI. There's places that have places have already implemented it, and then unfortunately we're seeing a lot of people just now starting the conversations. So from what you're seeing, what ways do you see AI acting as a true collaborator when it comes to creativity processes? And are we losing our creative, energy that, the humans have this creative element, creativity to it? And I know the biggest fear with AI is, well, that's going to go away. We're going to supplement it with AI. Is that what you're seeing?
First of all, you're right. This topic is hyper relevant today. It's a mandatory in the current context. The fast answer to that question is, if you use AI tools to complement your thought processes, then you're doing all right. If you're using AI to substitute your thought processes, then you're doing something very wrong. That would be the fast answer. Now, of course, there's more depthness in this question, and it has to do with defining what is creativity. Because if you want to question if AI is already creative, first of all, you have to define creativity, right? And I've been working a lot on that task for years now, probably more than 15 years, trying to answer what is creativity. My closest answer has been, in a very brief term, meta-transformative thoughts. That is, thoughts of thoughts that impact inside and outside of the mind to model the future. That is the closest I've got to the definition. Now, AI already does that. That's a big question. And in order to answer, you also have to understand the biological, psychological processes in the human mind. And in quick terms, AI can already generate, which is a prerequisite of the creative process. They can, for example, the ideas, new ideas. ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic can give you new ideas already, for sure, right? So they can already generate. They can also analyze, which will be the second step of the process. You can focus in what is called system 2. You can analyze your ideas, your generative stochastic ideas, and put more energy in order to have a rational analysis. That the AI can already do. The third system 3, would be creativity, which is combining system 1, intuition and new ideas, with reflection and rationality in order to find new solutions that are useful. Can AI do that? Yes, it can already do that. Now, what then AI or humans have that AI can't do? It's what I called meta control, which is the capacity of defying your own rules in order to find new solutions. So more exploration, more exploitation, being able to moderate that in order to find an answer. That's something that, yes, AI starts to have, but we have um, the ownership in that sense, right? That's what defines human creativity, the possibility of defying the established, the statu quo, the instructions, the orders, what is supposed to be. You see what nature did with us?
Mm-hmm.
It gave us the possibility to be rebel against what is already known in order to find new solutions. That's what AI is missing. Now, is it a good idea to give AI the possibility to go against its rules and its programming? That's another ethical question to be answered. But to end with this brief discussion, yes, AI is creative, not to the sense that humans are creative, because it's missing this meta control element that can be more flexible or not. We're going there. As we can see, agents now, the more flexibility you give to them, the more power, the more
Mm-hmm.
potency they acquire. So we're going to see that more and more and more and more agents with more faculties and a bigger ability to go against what they are supposed to do, and until it gets to the same level of human decision processes. I think that is going to happen. And the only one thing that will be missing that we can do that AI can't do has to do with what we call qualia, or phenomenological experiences, to actually experience, how it feels to be something, what it's called consciousness. So, since we are the only ones that have that, we should ethically have the control of AI. So, in summary, what should happen, deontologically speaking, is that we need to understand how to use AI, learn how to use them in order to multiply our potency, but always be very attentive of what we can give that AI can't give, which is moderation, meta control, phenomenological experience, and most importantly, protect life. That should be the main purpose of everything, because it's what all our systems, creativity, emotions, feelings, instincts, all those are instruments to protect life. So as long as we use AI as a tool to protect life, then artificial creativity will be a good thing. If not, it can destroy us. So all those thoughts.
I like that you kept saying should, because again,
Yeah.
it does go back to the individuals that are using it. Like any resource, any tool can be misused. Just like power, power leadership, it comes with a price, and what do they say in the Spider-Man movies? With great power comes great responsibilities, and AI is no different than any of those tools. It can't do everything for you, like you said, but it can also just be used as a partner. Are there specific fields that you feel that are really truly being uh, transformed, if you will, by AI? Like, are there concerns or risks out there for artists and innovators where we're going to see less from them or less of a need from them?
Any task that can be automated will be automated, which basically covers everything we can do in a computer, which is what any agent can do already by now. But again, what is it that AI can do right now and will not be able to do in a short future? Precisely moderate, leader, guide these efforts. That's the new responsibility of the human position, to become a creative leader, to become a creative leader that can manage not only other humans, but also agents. That's the source of potency, of power of the present and the future. So yes, it's coming for your job, yes, for sure. but that's not necessarily bad news. It's coming for your repetitive job, for the boring part of your job. And you have to hold on to the inspiring part of your job, which is the creative process. So as long as you know how to leader and manage agents and be creative, you're safe. Your job will not be at risk. The potency of what you do will increase exponentially. So we should think about that instead of, oh, it's gonna take my job, and what am I gonna do? Yes, you're gonna use agents. You're gonna use agents. Let AI do the boring part, the repetitive part for you, and you're gonna become a creative leader. That's the best idea in the era of AI from my perspective, Heather.
So, one of the things that, and I think you have very valid points. So I guess it also means that we need to shift our definitions of creativity too, and I want to talk more so in a sense of some of the stuff I've seen in the news lately, and even just, you're a student in a doctoral program, so you're actively doing research, you're doing essays and assignments, and you're working on your dissertation, which is going to be, if you will, your life's work to a certain degree. And this is really where the conversation of AI is coming up more so in AI. Can AI be used to replace someone's writing? Can it be accepted? Is that plagiarism? Is that ethical? And that seems to be where like a lot of conversations, at least in the education world, I'm sure there's other conversations happening for other industries, but specifically just, we are here at a higher education institution. I wouldn't mind focusing on that. What does that look like? In your opinion, and from what you're seeing and from your research, you spend a lot of time deep diving into AI, and you're an author yourself. What are we seeing when it comes to AI and like the ethical practices within that authorship?
Yeah, this is an excellent and very relevant question. Um, First, imagine that you have the possibility of giving Albert Einstein access to ChatGPT 5.4. Would you do that? Imagine what he could do with that. Just imagine. If he did what he did without it, now imagine what he can do with it, right? Okay, so my point here is that it's a tool that will multiply the potency and the outcome of whatever you do. Okay, being said that, now, in terms of learning, in terms of academia, in terms of writing, should we be using AI to create ideas, to develop learning processes, etc.? Well, I can share my experience. I've been writing books for more than 10 years. I started when AI didn't exist, so I had to do it old school. Just writing, first you need something to say. If you don't have a message, then it's difficult to write anything. So first you need to work on your thoughts, have something to say, and then have a lot of discipline and write and write and write. Every day I write at least 1 hour. Now I have 8 published books, for example, but it's because of that, because I write every day. Now, do I use AI currently when I'm writing? Of course I do. Why and how? First of all, I don't stop writing. I write a lot. Like I don't let AI substitute my writing skills. I use it to complement it and to take it to the next level. So I write in the first step, in the first iteration. So the prompt that you give to AI is as relevant as the answer. So the more vocabulary that you have, the more understanding that you have, the better you will be able to use these tools, right? And then you have to understand perfectly what the AI is giving to you. So that makes you read more. So when you use AI correctly, you write and you read way more than what you would do without it. Way more. Reading and writing is one of the most powerful activities to develop your creative muscle. So in terms of academic development, using AI correctly will make you read and write better. Now, that's the correct way to use it. The wrong way to use it will be, okay, make an essay, AI, whatever, and I'm just delivering something that I don't even understand. That will cost you the most valuable thing that you have as a human, your capacity to think, your your own creative ability. So for sure, deontologically speaking, the must part, it's difficult to answer. Now, in order to learn better, should we use AI? The answer is yes, but it depends on using it correctly. If you use it incorrectly, what is going to happen? You're just not going to not learn. You're going to lose your reflection faculty. So you're going to be a zombie. So it's a big risk. It's a big risk. And unfortunately, that responsibility should be individual from my perspective. I don't think any university or employer or person has the actual power to make a student want to learn. So the want part needs to come from within, right? If you have that and you understand how AI works, then you're safe to use it. If you just don't want to learn and you're going to use AI just to pass or just to whatever, then it's just against you, and probably it's difficult to moderate that as a university. Well, you have the Russian example. Russians, most of the academia have tests, verbal tests. That opens up a subjective part. That's why in the US or in the Occidental world, that's not very popular because the evaluation is very subjective. But it obliges you to work on your communication skills, understanding skills. So probably the school of the future in short term will be an oral test. Use the AI that you want, but at the end, you're going to have to defend what you're writing. I think that combination is pretty reasonable. But those are just some ideas. At the end, Heather, I do think that we all need, from a young age right now, just for the sake of competitiveness, for the sake of potency, for the sake of production, we should all use AI and we should use it a lot. That's what like a personal perspective. But again, highlighted, we should use it correctly.
And I think that's the biggest point that we've been trying to make this month when we talk about AI. Could you use AI to just do everything for you, take away your thoughts, just let it do everything? Yeah, 100%, absolutely. Is that right? Well, no. That's really what we're kind of looking to define. And furthermore, yes, we don't want it taking over, if you will, as the go-to for everything, but you still have to know how to use it and use it properly. Like, I'm working with my department to make sure that they all have like at least a basic understanding of AI. And I'm even challenging them to, okay, well, incorporate AI into the process. So I want you to do XYZ. This is your outcome. I want you to utilize AI in the process. And what does that look like? Is it fine tuning an email that you wrote that's really like all over the place and bringing it together? Is it helping you put together a clearer, crisper presentation that you can use widely? Or is it helping you where to get started on a research project? Like, is it giving you direction where to start? And honestly, those are all examples that we've done in my department, because the fact of the matter is, when I hired, and I just finished hiring up in January, I look on the resumes for, have they used Microsoft Office? Are they familiar with the Microsoft Office suite? obviously we want to know if somebody can open a phone, but now that list includes, do you know how to prompt? Do you have basic skills in AI? And that's the reality of where we are.
Exactly. No, totally. It's a it's a mandatory skill today. It's a mandatory skill for the, again, in pro of competitiveness. I mean, ethically speaking, you can have other answers, but practically speaking, if you don't have these instruments, you're in a big, big, big disadvantage. So you need to use them, and you need to use them responsibly. And if I may make a suggestion, which has worked for me really good, and with my kids, for example, because this suggestion is for adults and for kids and for any human. You need discipline to be able to use AI correctly. Discipline in what? In everything. Starting with having the habit of, for example, reading. If you stop reading because you're using AI, you're going to have a problem. So, for example, if you have 30 minutes or 60 minutes every day that you read yes or yes, that will protect you against most of the negative effects and consequences of using AI as a thought substitute. Also, if you write every day, if you oblige yourself to write at least 30 minutes every day, whatever you want, a journal, a book, something personal, whatever it is, just work on your skill of writing. Then again, you're protecting yourself and you will be ready to use AI as much as you want, because it's not going to take away from you your most valuable faculty, which is your faculty of thinking, of being creative, of understanding. So as long as you read, as long as you write, as long as you think a lot, question, reflect, then there's no um, the risk of having adverse effects with AI is exponentially way less. No? So you need discipline. It's a responsibility. Using AI correctly is a responsibility, because it's very easy to use it as I said, a thought substitute. And that's when you're done. That's when you're done. You will not find any productive apportation to society or yourself. And that can cost you your whole life. So the risk is big.
Are there some tool or applications that you can recommend for somebody who's been on the fence about AI? If they were looking to try to, I guess, play around with, for lack of a better way to express that, are there any tools or apps that you would recommend for somebody to kind of test out their field, get their feet wet when it comes to AI?
For sure. The steps that I suggest in some programs of academic programs that I impart regarding AI is, number one is LLMs. That's the most basic. No, LLMs are ChatGPT, Claude Anthropic, Gemini, Grok. Those are the most popular. So just using them, trying to explore a little bit, and make it a tool that will complement your ideas constantly. That's the first step. Second step will be the AI apps that are more specialized. For example, using an app to make minutes of your meetings. That's very useful. There are several. One example is fireflies.ai, for example. That one is really good. I use that one. It will record every meeting, so it can make summaries, it can make like a to-do lists, etc., etc., etc. That's pretty good. We, as an agency, have developed an agent. That's another app that basically works as a marketing agency. It creates a strategy based on behavioral science. It creates campaigns, content, landing pages automatically. So it's really good. So this kind of apps that help you do specialized generative AI, that will be the next step. There are a lot, hundreds, maybe thousands. Which one to use, it depends on what you want to do. For example, if you want to do video, Hey Gen is very good. Hey Gen is
Mhm.
very good to do video for social network content. Or if you want to do image, then ChatGPT is pretty good now with images. Also Gemini, Nano Banana. If you want to create vibe coding apps, lovable.dev, that's magical, magical. Lovable.dev. Claude is preparing a product to compete with that. But right now, Lovable has no competition. Lovable.dev, it's what's known as vibe coding, which is coding with natural language. So just, make a page that has X characteristics and X colors and this functionality. You just say that, and the agent executes the coding and the page and everything, like to the end to end. That's vibe coding, and you iterate with the natural language. So you can make landing pages, apps, deep apps. The one that I just told you that it's a whole marketing agency, we did
Mhm.
it with Lovable. So there's no limits of what you can do with this kind of technology. That's the second step, and the third step will be agents, agents like OpenClaw. There are others that are coming up, but that's a game changer. OpenClaw is basically a technology that helps you control a whole computer with AI systems, right? So whatever a human can do in a computer, OpenClaw can do uh, through instructions with WhatsApp or Telegram. So that's the third step. It's a little bit more technical, it's a little bit more difficult, but if you want to be immersed in the AI era, for sure that's something super, 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 super relevant and very productive. So that would be like the third step, Heather.
So before we let you go, because this has been, I think very opening. I hope it puts people at ease too with some of the stuff you said. I mean, some of the stuff you said is scary, but overall, your general message has not been truly terrifying. Um, what do you see when it comes to the future for AI and how it interacts with the creative element of humanity?
The utopic, not dystopic conclusion should be creative leader, human creative leadership managing multi agents. That's the best case scenario. So, as I said, forget about the boring, repetitive part of whatever you do, and imagine being able to just give your creative talent to a group of agents that can execute whatever you can imagine. Isn't that a good thought? Well, that's a reality. That's a reality. We have never had so much potency in our hands as individuals ever in the history of humankind. So we need to explore this, but we need also to protect our creative faculty, because again, that's what we have to give with within all this structure. So the utopic, non-dystopic outcome should be individuals, everyone that's listening right now has the ability and the possibility to start interacting and working with AI and with agents, and being able to imagine new solutions and making the AI execute those solutions for you. We all have that possibility right now. So imagine what can happen in 5 years with this kind of technologies, way more potent, having the possibility of doing way more, and with you as a captain of the boat. Now, it's 10 years ago, it would be almost impossible to think that it will be easy to have a company with 10,000 employees. Right now, having a company of one person that manages agents that can do the same thing that 10,000 humans can do is a super realistic possibility. Actually, we already have a unicorn, this startups that are valued in thousands of in billions, more than 1 billion of dollars, with one person company that already exists. That already exists. One person with agents that from scratch created companies that are worth more than 1 billion. So what's the future, Heather? We individuals directing these technologies and having the grasp of them with an ample understanding and a powerful creative capacity.
So that's amazing. And this has been, I think very insightful. And I'm so appreciative that you could take the time with us and really touch on that creativity element, because that seems to be where people really get scared. I feel like they're less scared about actually using it, and it's more so like the conversations are, well, what happens to creativity of the human being? So, Juan Carlos, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and joining us.
For sure, no, it's my pleasure. And what's going to happen is going to multiply itself. We will find the highest point of human creativity in the next years, thanks to this kind of technology. So work on that. Like everyone listening, work on your ability to be creative. That's precisely what's going to make the difference. And this is going to happen gradually, Heather. Like tomorrow is not, oh, it's the end of everything. I'm not using AI, so let's whatever. No. We have time. Start doing it. Start delegating. Start making tests and being more productive with what you do. Whatever you do in 1 hour, you can multiply it at least by 2 when you start using these tools. And when you feel what that actually accomplishes, then the limits are infinite. So that's hopefully I can give you that motivation. Don't worry about, like, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, and it depends on you. If you use it correctly, it's going to be incredible. So just use it and work on yourself, on your mind, on your creativity, on your critical thought. That would be my thought and my advice.
Thank you so much. And if you guys have enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the story of success. As we close this chapter, remember, every story has its next page.